Life only demands of us the strength we possess. Only one feat is possible, not to have run away. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's by Dag Hammarskjöld, who was a United Nations Secretary General during the 1950s. President Dwight Eisenhower once commented that Dag was the only person he knew who consistently could work on 2 hours sleep and do a great job every day. But the real reason why I like that quote is because it was first presented to me by my high school English teacher. She knew that I was very frustrated and that I was struggling with grammar, with writing, and above all, with public speaking. So I guess we'll have to see how that works out tonight. My name is Ray Singer, and I'm a cardiothoracic surgeon at Lehigh Valley Health Network. I've been here my entire career, since 1992, 26 years. I reached 2 milestones this year. The first, I hit another birthday with a 0 in it. I just turned 60. Thank you. I know I look fabulous. And the other is that I just performed recently my 7,000th operation. 7,000 heart and lung operations. I was going to give my 7,000th patient a toaster, but I decided just to wish him well instead. You know, the funny thing is, ever since I was young, I always wanted to be a doctor. There are reels of 8mm silent movies from the 1960s showing me as a 5-year-old with my play doctor's kit examining everyone in the family. So the question that I would like us to think about tonight is, how do we take that exuberance of that 5-year-old, that excitement, that fun, and continue it throughout our lifetime? What is that DNA, that pixie dust, that allows us to continue that passion and drive through a lifetime of dreams and aspirations? In essence, what I'm asking is, what does it take? And what does it even mean to be happy or successful? I'd like to suggest to you that it has everything to do with your inner candle. And I don't believe that it matters if you're that 5-year-old with the plague doctor's kid, or if you're 30, or if you're 60. My mom is a very youthful 95-year-old, and I would like to dedicate this talk to her. And even though she's youthful, it doesn't mean that she's altogether healthy. She's been in and out of the hospital of late. She faced 2 cancers in her lifetime. She had open heart surgery. She had valve and bypass surgery. She doesn't hear that well anymore, or see that well. She still drives her Ferrari. No, that's not true. She doesn't drive her Ferrari. But she does live independently. And more importantly, she lives youthfully. Her inner candle is as bright today as it was 40 years ago, and I can assure you that her inner candle will stay bright until she takes her last breath. You know, last week was Nurses Week. My mom was a Navy nurse in World War II. My dad was a Marine who fought in the Pacific. They met during the war. They fell in love. They come from what we refer to as the greatest generation. They survived the Great Depression and World War II. And after the war, they came back to the States, they got married, and they raised 2 children. And they worked every day to give their 2 children the opportunities that they themselves never had. That is special. And you might say, well, you know, we get it, Dr. Singer. You know, you had great parents, you had a nice childhood, you're, you know, an accomplished heart and lung surgeon, you're working at a very prestigious network. Of course you're happy. You know, of course you're successful. And I would say to you tonight, my friends, that I could not disagree with you more. I could not disagree with you more. I do not believe for one moment that whatever, you know, success or happiness I may enjoy in my life is solely because of the way my parents brought me up, or my circumstances, or the fact that I decided to be a heart and lung surgeon or moved to the beautiful Lehigh Valley. And for all you, I don't believe that your circumstances dictate your success and your happiness. I don't think it matters what titles you have or even what money you accumulate in your lifetime. See, what I believe is that successful people bring success to what they do. It's not what they do that makes them successful. They bring success to what they do. They bring success to everything they do every moment, every interaction, every relationship, and every failure. Yes, they bring success to every failure. Look at me. I am a failure. I fail every day. But you see, the thing is that successful people don't really see it as failure. They see it as opportunities. They see the challenges and adversities in their lives as learning experiences to do things differently, to learn from it, to do it better, to innovate. That's what successful people do. And I believe that if for some reason I fall off this stage this evening, which is possible, and I can't perform heart surgery again, that in short order I will find a way to be happy and be successful. Who knows? Maybe I'll open up the next great restaurant in Allentown. We'll call it Chez Ray or something like that. In the operating room in my world, and tonight I have some of my magnificent nurses and physician assistants here this evening. In our world, they can tell you that we face adversity every day. We face challenges every single day. We're often called for emergency operations just this Saturday. Our patients are very sick. Sometimes we're faced with bleeding or tissue that doesn't seem to want to hold. And here's the thing. We know who we're operating on. We know our patients. And more than that, we get to know their families. Some of the most poignant and haunting moments in my career are when you're about to take that patient to the operating room and there's a small child there who looks up at you and says, "Please take care of my pop-up." Or that son who flew back from Stanford, had just started college, and his father needed urgent surgery, and he had tears going down his eyes. And he put his hand on me and he said, "Dr. Singer, you'll never know how much this means to me. Please bring my father back to me." On Christmas Eve this year, Christina, one of my PAs, and I took care of a young woman in her 50s. We knew it would be miraculous for what she had. And we stood in that emergency department, and she was laying there saying goodbye to her 15-year-old son, who was very stoic. And she said to him, "Be strong for me." Those were the last words he ever heard from his mom. Sometimes we're called to take care of colleagues, sometimes our neighbors, sometimes our friends. And I can assure you, in those moments, there is no failure. We can only bring success to what we do. And then when we take that patient to the operating room and that aorta begins to tear, which just happened to me yesterday in my case, trust me, if you see that as an obstacle, neither the patient nor you are going to do very well. It is in those ultimate moments when the decision that you make can be the difference between that patient living or dying. You can only bring success to what you do. You need to find that inner candle. You must win. You must focus on that inner candle. Now, I am sure you don't have to be as dramatic as a heart surgeon. We all have challenges and responsibilities in our lives. Each of you, there's probably 200 stories here tonight. Each of you have challenges in your careers, at home, your health. There's two stories I like on a lighter note. My beloved Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl this year, and they beat arguably the best quarterback of all time. And before you boo, which is okay, Tom Brady was picked in the 6th round of the NFL draft. He was the overall 199th pick. No one believed that he was going to be this successful. In fact, probably most people at the time didn't even think he would survive in the NFL. But to understand Brady's success is to simply to look at his inner candle, to look at his DNA, that pixie dust, his mental fortitude, how he approaches every game, every play, every moment, bringing success to it. Steve Jobs, the creator of Apple and the inventor of the iPhone, he was a college dropout. He was fired from multiple tech jobs. People didn't see his vision. He was bankrupt several times. And even when he was facing terminal cancer, he kept that inner candle strong, and he continued his life's work at Apple. What Tom Brady and Steve Jobs understood is that they never once saw a setback as failure. They saw them as learning opportunities to do things differently, to innovate, to reinvent yourself, always keeping that inner candle lit. That's what they did. Henry David Thoreau said, successful people, success usually comes to people who are too busy to be looking for it. Success usually comes to people who are too busy to be looking for it. Let me tell you the story about the two dogs in the alley. So there's these two dogs in the alley, and the one dog is a young preppy dog wearing a little preppy jacket, and the other is this old salty dog. He's a junkyard kind of dog. And the young preppy dog is running around in circles, just chasing its tail, running around. And the old salty dog says, what you doing there? And the young preppy dog says, well, you know, I went to preppy dog school, and I learned two things. I learned that the most important thing for a dog is to be happy. And the second thing I learned is that happiness is in my tail. And so I believe if I just go around and chase my tail, eventually I'll catch my tail, and then I'll be happy. Well, the old salty dog said, well, you know, it's funny, I didn't have all the advantages you had in life. I didn't get to go to preppy dog school, but I came to the same conclusions that you did. I concluded that the most important thing for a dog is to be happy. And yes, that happiness is in my tail. But what I have come to believe is that if I just go along the path of my choosing, if I just live life to its fullest and stay on that path, my tail and my happiness will follow me wherever I go. Something to think about. And look, it's not to say that there aren't real threats and concerns that make legitimate demands on us. As I said, all of you have challenges every day. That's the whole point of this talk. It's difficult to turn on the television or read a newspaper without seeing something that's distressing and sad. All of us collectively here tonight are worried about one thing, and that's the future of this world for our children and their children. I have two beautiful teenage daughters. One is here tonight. Miss Julia is going to be turning sweet 16 next Wednesday. Miss Lana, unfortunately, is at home with a cold. Couldn't be here this evening. Mom is taking care of her. One thing about teenage daughters is that if you're a physician leader, they really help you in areas like negotiation management and conflict resolution. As parents, what do we want? We want our kids to be happy, healthy, and successful. And the whole story here is that those things are all connected. They're connected to that inner feeling, that inner candle. In fact, I have told my daughters their entire lives that they actually hold two candles. One candle they hold in their hand, and the other they hold in their heart. And I tell them that the candle that they hold in their hand can and will get blown out 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times a day. They may get a bad grade in school. Someone may say something to them that hurts their feelings. They may witness a tragedy. They may lose someone they love. But I tell them that no matter how many times that outer candle gets blown out, that they can never let that inner candle flicker, not even for a moment. So let me conclude tonight by asking you a very simple question. What's inside of you? What's inside of you? Wayne Dyer was a great psychologist, author, speaker. I've listened to all of his works. He used to use the metaphor of an orange. I'd like to share it with you. If I held an orange in my hand and I squeezed as hard as I could, what would come out? And you would say, juice. Right, juice. Why? Because that's what's inside. Because that's what's inside. See, and it doesn't matter if it's raining outside like it's been here for the last 3 months, okay? It doesn't matter if you got a bad grade in school. It doesn't matter if they changed your titles 5 times and shipped you to the mountains. When you squeeze that orange, okay, the only thing that can come out is juice, because that's what's inside. So let me ask you again. What is inside of you? What is inside of you when you get squeezed? And I would suggest to you that if you have sadness inside of you, when you get squeezed, sadness will come out. If you have anger inside of you, and I know this, when you get squeezed, you get anger to come out. If you have anxiety, sadness, a feeling of insecurity, or even a sense of failure, when you get squeezed, that's what will come out. But if you have peace and contentment, if you have understanding, if you have hope, if you have gratitude, if you have a sense of success, then when you get squeezed, that's what will come out. My friends, the preservation of youth, that exuberance of that 5-year-old, your happiness, your health, and yes, your success all comes from within. Thank you. Thank you.